Great day, grades and learners. Welcome to another lesson in English with the topic Using Textual Aids. Are you ready? Let's begin. In this lesson, you will read the story of a mythical character named Orpheus. Then, perform all the activities that will follow. This lesson in your module will help you attain the following objectives. Analyze and understand the selection through the use of graphic organizers and nonlinear illustrations. Determine the plot of the story read and identify its theme. Tell the significance of the selection to the present situation. And give possible solutions to real problems encountered in one's life. Let's start by answering the pre-test. Read the text carefully and complete the sentences that follow by choosing or inserting the letter of the correct answer. The text is, the best way to overcome disability is to face in head-on and prevent you from achieving great things. This is the lesson I draw from the lives of two people whom I admire, the musician Stevie Wonder and the track and field athlete Jackie Joyner Kersee. I respect them for their courage and strength in overcoming obstacles. Both are persons with disabilities who defied obstacles in order to be successful in their fields. They taught me never to give up, no matter how intimidating the obstacles you face in life. For question number 1, the passage would best appeal to A. An adult, B. An adolescent, C. A parent, or D. A child. The passage would best appeal to A. An adult, B. An adolescent, C. A parent, or D. A child. And the answer is B. It best appealed to an adolescent. Question number 2. Blank is an example of disability. A. Physical fatigue, B. Visual impairment, C. Being small, or D. Mental acumen. Blank is an example of disability. A. Physical fatigue, B. Visual impairment, C. Being small, or D. Mental acumen. And the answer is letter B. Visual impairment. Question number 3. They are persons with disabilities who defied the obstacles and became successful. The word defied means A. Outfaced, B. Disregarded, C. Vanished, or D. Challenged. They are persons with disabilities who defied the obstacles and become successful. The word defied means A. Outfaced, B. Disregarded, C. Vanished, or D. Challenged. The answer is letter A, outfaced. For questions 4 to 5, fill in the table with the similarities and differences of the two personalities given on the text or mentioned on the text. We have Stevie Wonder and Jackie Joyner. Just give one similarity of these two persons and one difference. Alright. For the similarity of these two personalities, they are both persons with disability, and they also both outfaced challenges, while they are differ in profession. Stevie Wonder is a musician, while Jackie is an athlete. Did you get all the correct answers? Let's have a short review. Do you still remember that plot is one of the elements of a story aside from the setting and characters? It is a skeleton framework of a selection piece, and there are 5 essential parts of the plot. They are: first, the exposition, which is the stage wherein the characters and the setting of the story are introduced. Rising action is the next part, wherein enacting incident that pushes the plot into motion, making the protagonist taking action as the storyline becomes complicated. Then it is followed by the climax, which is the turning point and the most exciting part of the story, wherein the protagonist faces the main problem that will eventually lead to the outcome of the story. Then the falling action. This is the part where the events that are resolved by the protagonist are presented. And then the resolution, the conclusion or the end of the story. Have you ever doubted yourself when it comes to dealing with obstacles in life? Does trial allow you to become a stronger or a weaker person? How are you able to handle it? Today's lesson will allow you to take a journey to fictitious world of literature. Alice Lowe is the American writer of the story Orpheus, who is most notable for having written adaptations of mythology for children. Orpheus is one of the most famous in myth, which is a narrative or a story of gods and goddesses, heroes that play a fundamental role in a society, and has a great influence in our culture that enhances our quality of life and increases overall well-being for both individuals and communities. As you go along with the lesson, you will be using graphic organizers such as concept maps like charts, tables, flowcharts, timeline, Venn diagram, and nonlinear illustrations like drawing. That is to better understand the text and to note details of the story. These will help you understand the text and establish relationships between facts and ideas within a learning task. But before that, let's do vocabulary check. Read each sentence carefully, then determine the meaning of the underlined word in each sentence, and circle or choose the letter of the correct answer. Ready? Okay, sentence number 1. His wife is his inspiration in making songs. The underlined word is inspiration. And it means, is it letter A, motivation, B, satisfaction, or C, imagination? Okay, let's check the answer. Inspiration means motivation. Sentence number 2. The servants heard him, and they were entranced by his wonderful music. The underlined word is entranced. What do we mean by entranced? A, surprised, B, charmed, or letter C, frightened. Okay, entranced means charmed. Sentence number 3. The general summoned all his officers for an urgent meeting. The underlined word is summoned. And it means, is it letter A, sent for, B, watch over, or letter C, called for? Okay, summoned means called for. Sentence number 4. He just had a glimpse from his lover before he closed his eyes. The underlined word is glimpse. And it means, is it letter A, speech, B, glance, or letter C, wave? Okay, glimpse means letter B, glance. Did you get all the correct answers? That's great. Now let's start our journey in reading Orpheus from ancient Greece, translated by Alice Lowe. There were 9 goddesses called Muses, born of Zeus and a Titan named Mnemosyne. Each muse presided over a different art or science. Calliope, one of these sisters, was the inspiration of poets and musicians. She was the mother of Orpheus, a mortal, because his father was one, and gave to her son a remarkable talent for music. Orpheus played his lyre so sweetly that he charmed all things on earth. Men and women forgot their cares when they gathered around him to listen. Wild beasts lay down as if they were tame, entranced by his soothing notes. Even rocks and trees followed him, and the rivers changed their directions to hear him play. Orpheus loved a young woman named Eurydice, and when they were married, they looked forward to many years of happiness together. But soon after, Eurydice stepped on a poisonous snake and died. Orpheus roamed the earth, singing sad melodies to try to overcome his grief. But it was no use. He longed for Eurydice so deeply that he decided to follow her to the underworld. He said to himself, "No mortal has ever been there before, but I must try to bring back my beloved Eurydice. I will charm Persephone and Hades with my music and win Eurydice's release." He climbed into a cave, and through a dark passage he led to the underworld. When he reached the river of Styx, he plucked his lyre, and Charon, the ferryman, was so charmed that he rowed him across. Then he struck his lyre again, and Cerberus, the fierce three-headed dog who guarded the gates, heard the sweet music and lay still to let him pass. Orpheus continued to play his lyre tenderly as he made his way through the gloomy underworld. The ghosts cried when they heard his sad music. Sisyphus, who had been condemned to roll a rock uphill forever, stopped his fruitless work to listen. Tantalus, who had been sentenced to stand in a pool of receding water, stopped trying to quench his thirst, and even the wheel to which Ixion was tied and punishment stopped turning for one moment. At last, Orpheus came to the palace of Hades and Persephone, king and queen of the underworld. Before they could order him to leave, he began his gentle song, pleading for Eurydice. When stern Hades heard Orpheus' song, he began to weep. Cold Persephone was so moved that for the first time in all her months in the underworld, her heart melted. "Oh, please, my husband," she said to Hades, "let Eurydice be reunited with Orpheus." And Hades replied, "I, too, feel the sadness of Orpheus. I cannot refuse him." And so they summoned Eurydice, and the two lovers clasped each other and turned to leave. "Wait," said Hades to Orpheus. "Eurydice is yours to take back to the earth on one condition." "What is that?" asked Orpheus. "She must follow you, and you must not look back at her until you are on earth again." "I understand," said Orpheus, "and I am forever grateful." Orpheus and Eurydice left the underworld and made their way through the dark passage that led to the upper world. At last, they reached the cave through which Orpheus had descended. "I can see daylight ahead," called Orpheus to Eurydice. "We are almost there." But Eurydice had not heard him, and so she did not answer. Orpheus turned to make sure that she was still following him. He caught one last glimpse of her with her arms stretched out to him, and then she disappeared, swallowed up by darkness. "Farewell," he heard her cry as she was carried back to the underworld. Orpheus tried to follow her, but this time the gods would not allow it. And so he wandered the earth alone. He sang his sad songs to the rocks and the trees and longed for the time when he too would die and be reunited with his beloved Eurydice in the underworld. Did you enjoy the story? Now answer the following questions on your module. What are the strengths and weaknesses of Orpheus? Fill in the box with his description of character in the story. Just write one strength and one weakness of Orpheus. Write it inside the box. Then answer, why did Orpheus decide to rescue his wife in the underworld? Number 3. Explain why the gods gave a condition to Orpheus and to his bride. What is that condition? Why was he able to win the sympathy of the gods? Question number 4. What does the story reveal about certain realities in life? And question number 5. If you were Orpheus, would you do the same thing? Why or why not? To show your understanding about the story using a graphic organizer, do this activity too. Identify the plot of the story by completing the graphic organizer or the plot diagram below. You may copy the diagram and answer on your module. We have the exposition, the rising action, climax, the falling action, and the resolution. Write your answer inside the box. The story of Orpheus tells us that to love, we must have trust. Trust might seem simple, but it is vital, which is clearly depicted how Orpheus loses his faith. This tells us the importance of building a strong foundation of love and trust to our Creator and the people around us. That whatever circumstance we may find ourselves in, we should never lose faith. It is believing that God will fulfill His promises no matter what. Life is full of difficulties, but how we find ways on how to deal with them matter most. It shall become more colorful and inspiring as we take things lightly and peacefully. For in every problem, there is always a solution. A graphic organizer, also known as a knowledge, concept, story map, advanced organizer, or concept diagram, is an informative tool that uses visual symbols to express knowledge and concepts through relationships between them, like comparison and contrast, identifying the parts of the story, and making descriptions. With these organizers, you were able to analyze and understand the details of the story. And to check your understanding about our lesson today, try to solve the puzzle below. What are the different textual aids to be used in understanding a text or selection? You have your clues or description on the right side, while write your answer to complete the puzzle on the left side. Now let's do the post test. Read the selection below and complete the sentences that follow by writing the letter of the correct answer. The text is: some parents and traditional teachers believe that bullying and harassment have traditionally been considered rites of passage, something all children and teens must go through. This is a myth. It has only been in the recent years that bullying and harassment have received international attention, mainly due to children and youth who commit suicide as a result of being a victim of relentless bullying and their inability to cope. Bullying is a covert activity difficult for adults to detect because of the following. Most of the cases of bullying are verbal rather than physical, making it difficult to prove. Verbal bullying as a form of emotional abuse does not present physical scars, but it slowly kills the spirit of those continuously victimized with their children. Now answer the following questions. Write the letter of your answer. Number 1. The selection would best appeal to A. Parents and students, B. Students and teachers, C. Teachers and administrators, or D. Teachers and parents. The selection would best appeal to A. Parents and students, B. Students and teachers, C. Teachers and administrators, or D. Teachers and parents. Number 2. The selection focuses on the blank type of bullying. A. Gossiping, B. Physical bullying, C. Psychological, or D. Verbal. The selection focuses on the blank type of bullying. A. Gossiping, B. Physical bullying, C. Psychological, or D. Verbal. Question number 3. According to the writer, the belief that bullying and harassment is a rite of passage. This is a blank. A. Legend, B. Myth, C. Story, or D. Tradition. According to the writer, the belief that bullying and harassment is a rite of passage. This is a blank. A. Legend, B. Myth, C. Story, or D. Tradition. Activity B. Showing the cause and effect relationship. Identify the effects of bullying based on the given text. Use this graphic organizer below to show your answer. Again, for activity B, showing cause and effect relationship, identify the effects of bullying based on the given text. Use this graphic organizer that you can see to show your answer. Okay, just give 2 effects of bullying and write it on our graphic organizer below.
If you find this lesson helpful, like, share, and subscribe.